But if you say, no, we're not going to kick them off, we can still kick them off if we think that they're slacking. And then finally, that's only triggered by 3 unexcused absences. If the committee member accrues 5 absences, including excused and unexcused from regularly scheduled committee meetings, that means they miss almost half a year, guys. During the same calendar year, then that committee member is going to automatically be removed from the committee, and the council member shall be notified of the vacancy. I also, I was made aware of like some gamesmanship that people played with the committee positions, where people would, be about to hit the limit of absences, and then they would resign and then be reappointed by a favoring council member or something like that. So to prevent that from happening, I put under section 11 that if a person serves on more than, number one, a clarification. If a person serves on more than one committee, the removal or resignation of said committee member, including in cases of removal under section 10 from one committee, shall not affect their membership in the other committees. And then secondly, a committee member shall not be precluded from applying for or joining a committee by reason of their resignation or removal from a committee. Notwithstanding the foregoing, a committee member who resigns or is removed from a committee shall be precluded from applying for or joining the same committee from which they resigned or were removed for a period of 90 calendar days following the effective date of their resignation or removal. And then the other changes in here are just to account for the fact that the NSD advisory boards no longer exist. So those paragraphs are eliminated. But that last part was really meant for avoiding people resigning, just to avoid hitting that third, that triggering of the automatic termination. And then they would just be removed and then reappointed almost at will. I also know that Bill was trying to show me right before the meeting some suggestions. I'm happy to look at those and discuss those. And then Rosario, you had some comments?
In our particular issue, we have one guy, Luis Suarez, who hasn't come to any of our meetings for at least 2 years. We couldn't take him off because certain situations. Nobody took it on. No, I emailed a bunch of people. Nobody did anything about it. If people leave our committee or we ask them to leave for whatever reason, this is a guy that we need to go. I've called them personally, asked them to come, even when he was with us, whatever. It's always the same people at our bingos, and you will notice. The chair or the people in the committee should have a say-so if they want to come back. Because my committee is also a political, we vote. We're the seniors in our committee. So I don't think it's fair for people to come 3 months before an election and start coming and participating and joining and doing stuff. And then as soon as it happens, then people disappear. So I would like for the chair or the committee or the group of people to have a say-so on who comes back. I don't know how we can do that, but we have to find a way to do that because it's not fair.
Hey, Rosie. So my thoughts on that, because I'm a big proponent always of letting the council have the final say on these things, maintaining the council's prerogative, but I think that's an easy fix. I think in terms of getting your involvement, your participation is just the clerk can go ahead and notify you when a council member has made a selection for a particular individual to serve on your committee. And then you can give your opinion on that point, right? And obviously then they're still able to make a decision whether they're going to proceed or not prior to the council meeting. But I think that would be the easiest way to do it, while also still letting the council member, for my purposes, at least letting the council still have the prerogative of picking who they want to serve on their behalf on these committees.
So I do agree with the 3 absences rule. I think it does need to come back. I do have at least one on my committee that hasn't shown up in over a year, especially for the Youth Activities Task Force. We have meetings every month. At one point we were struggling with quorum, and now we're back and we're going strong with our committee. But I do agree with that three absence rule. One thing I don't know if it's under my committee rule specifically, is we have 7 students on our committee, so half is students, half is adults. So some of these unexcused absences or excused absences, sometimes if we could add it for those that have school or have tests and things like that to be a little more lenient when it comes to the students on the committee that are under the age of 18.
Good. If I could make a suggestion, I received an email from Councilman Steve, and I think Brian talked to me about this as well, and I took the liberty of drafting up a proposal. Old lawyers never die; they just keep on writing. All right, so here's what I came up with, and basically what I'm trying to do is really put it into the position of the people who are most involved, and that's the town liaison, the chair, and the council member who appointed this person. Because every single one of us who's a member of a committee is a representative of that council member. All right. So decisions to remove or to remain should be including the council member who appointed that person. I think when you put it to the whole committee, you're going to get a lot of weird results. And so a streamlined process where those who actually have the power and are vested in that individual is probably the best way to go. So here's my proposed rule, and I have definitions because lawyers have to have definitions, and I have a process as well. Committee members will endeavor to attend all scheduled to include special call and subcommittees a member has volunteered for in order to conduct committees and town's business. Any absences from committee meeting must be excused absences and approved by the chair, either proactively or retroactively, because sometimes something happens that the person's gone and you don't know why, and then you find out later, depending on the circumstances. During the year, absences of 3 consecutive committee meetings will be presumptive for removal. For excessive absences, the chair must initiate removal process. Absences of 4 non-consecutive meetings during the year will also require the chair to initiate removal process. Definition: absence: failure to attend a scheduled committee meeting as defined above. Excused absence: an absence due to medical situation to include family members, unexpected work-related commitments, military service due to active duty orders in the reserves, National Guard, or State Guard. We have to comply with the Soldier Sailor Civil Relief Act. A family vacation: not everyone's going to be on a honeymoon. I don't know how many elderly committee members are going on honeymoons. Probably not many. You never know. Love's eternal. We can always hope. And any other circumstance the chair believes warrants an excused absence. On the State Guard Reserve, if a committee member is absent, this is definitional in subtext. If a committee member is absent due to military orders, that member's absence will not count against quorum. Military service may take 6 months or more. Therefore, it would be prudent and just for the quorum requirements not to apply to the absent committee member or on military orders. It just seems, I know we had that happen to one of us. We had a major who got reserve activated orders, went to Saudi Arabia. He was gone for 7 months, but he was always active with us when he was here. And we had to still count him on the attendance roster. And we, would sometimes not make quorum because he was gone. And I thought that was kind of an unfair thing, because his service was hurting us, and that should not be the rule. And reservists can be in any committee. Process for removal: chair notifies committee member that they have missed 3 consecutive meetings or 4 non-consecutive scheduled meetings. There has to be a notification procedure. Chair determines if any of these absences could be excused. If the absences cannot be excused, then the chair notifies the town liaison and the council member who appointed the committee member. If the town liaison and council member concur, then the member will be removed from the committee due to the excessive absences. Once notification and concurrence is received, town liaison removes committee member from the committee roster. It's simple. It involves those who have the stake in the issue, the town liaison and the council member. I had to deal with this one time with a person that the mayor had appointed, and the mayor reached out to the individual, and the mayor actually came back to me and said, yeah, he can't do it anymore. Let's have him removed. And that way he knew he had an opening. The previous mayor, not you. So I like the vice mayor's proposal, and I say that his proposal should be approved with the modifications I am recommending.
Real quick, I wasn't finished before, but another thing I was going to ask is the rule that I don't know if it's still a rule where before someone is appointed to the committee, they need to attend 3 meetings. Is that still a thing? Is it one? I'd like to recommend to bring it back to 3 meetings so they know what they're getting into and we know that they are actually gonna show up to meetings. I think they could show up to 1 meeting, get appointed, and then never show up again. It's happened before. Or when we had those rules in place, people were just put onto the committee and we didn't even know who they were. They showed up once and never again. I'd like to recommend to bring it back to showing up to 3 meetings before they are appointed to our committee and have them actually be required to be there so they know what they're getting into. And we know, and the council knows that they are going to be committed to that committee, because if they could show up to 1 meeting, get appointed, and then they don't show up at all. We've had that a few times, so.
And thank you for that, Brian. But I guess my question is there a specific example where they've only gone to 1 meeting? Because if I'm not mistaken, the rules require that you have to attend either 2 meetings or 1 meeting and then have a separate meeting with the chair of the committee, sort of an interview process.
Yeah, I know on my committee, I've never had a meeting with anyone. And I've seen people put onto my committee that had never shown up to any of our meetings before.
Hey, Clarissa, do you have any insight on that?
Brian, can you repeat what you just said?
Yeah, so about the meeting that you have to attend meetings before being appointed. I know what Josh just said, or the mayor just said, is that they have to either show up to 1 meeting and then meet with the committee chair as part of the interview process to get onto the committee, or to show up to 2. I've never had a meeting with anyone as a chair in my 3 or 4 years now as chair. I've never had a meeting with anyone regarding that. And most of the time, people that are appointed to my committee don't even show up to 1 meeting and then are appointed immediately.
Well, remember that council always has the discretion to waive any of these rules that we're discussing. So there's been many times where a committee member is appointed and the rules have been waived. I can't find the language right now, but there. Any qualified person, it's section 11A. Any qualified person wishing to serve on a committee shall, prior to submittal of an application, attend 1 regularly scheduled committee meeting and discuss his desire to join the committee with the committee chair. So they can take that opportunity of attending the meeting and speaking to the chair. It's not required for them to have a separate meeting.
Got it. That's fine with me. But I would recommend at least making it 2 or 3 meetings, because I've had it both ways, where they show up to 1, they get appointed, and then they never show up to another meeting again. They don't even show up as a committee member to our meetings. They showed up before they were appointed. On the other hand, like I said, and I understand that the council has the privilege to just appoint someone, but at the same time, there's people that are appointed to our committee, come to 1 meeting and never show up again, and they never even showed up previously. Or they show up to meetings, not events, or events, not meetings, things like that. So it's very difficult. For example, my committee, we have a lot of students on my committee. We had a student recently that was appointed that lived in Homestead. He showed up to 1 meeting and never again. So it's things like that. I'm getting a student that lives in Homestead, can't drive all the way over here because he's in high school. I don't know where he came from. I never met him before. He was appointed, came to 1 meeting, and then disappeared. So that's like one of the examples on my committee, for example. And it's happened with other committees before. And I'm sure other people or other committee chairs have the same exact issue, where people show up to 1 and then never come back, or they're appointed, they're sworn in, and don't even show up to a meeting at all. So it just takes up space on the rosters of the committees. For example, I have a student right now that I haven't seen in over a year, way over a year. She has not been removed from my committee. And I have students that are showing up to every meeting and cannot be appointed. And also, while I'm here talking about appointments, I don't know what's going on with the email system. I've had a bunch of students submit applications, and the applications aren't being received by the clerk's office. So they forwarded it to me. I forwarded it to whoever I need to forward it to. But I know right now we're working on getting a committee member, a student that has been involved in our committee for years now. She's been trying to get on our committee. She sent her application multiple times. And then I was told that her application was never received. So if that could be looked into as well, because apparently that's happening to a lot of people where applications aren't even being looked at or received.
Yeah, to look into that, we would need to know who it is, what are the email addresses, when she claims that she or he claims that they sent the email, so we can backtrack it, because IT can't just say, oh, somebody sent
Yeah,
an email.
I can get
we
you
need
guys that
We need
information.
specifics so we can backtrack it and figure out.
Yeah,
what
I know
happened.
for this one specifically, they started working on her appointment and they finally got her application, but I could get you that information if you want to backtrack of when she sent it. Okay. I
Do
could
you
get
know what
that.
the student's name is?
Lola. Know her last name, but her first name is Lola.
If I may. It may be better that there may be some caveats dependent on each committee. Because for the BAB, having the ability to meet with somebody outside Sunshine and interview with them is essential. It's unfortunate it only happened a few times, that more often it gets overridden, the rules get overridden, and that's very detrimental to what we do. Well, the BAB is very technical, and it's not for everybody, but people want to get involved. And we're learning it's a stepping stone to get on the council, but we won't go there. I think it's critical for us, and I understand the different committees, it does, it's.
Rudy Blanco for BAB. Let me add, of course, I had to take a Rudy. Let me add a little layer here to the complexity of all this. I have a member, hasn't shown up for 6 months. Prominent member in our community. And he just says, I wasn't notified in time or appropriately. So it brings up, the other issue of notice, which is also very important, for all of our tasks as a municipality and everything else, which is crucial. That created a little bit of tension for me at the last meeting. It still does. So how do you address that one now? Is it appropriate? What is appropriate? For me, but it's me, just being a member of a committee is enough commitment. I know I have to show up every month for a meeting, not just as chairman, but as a member of a committee. But that's me. That's Rudy Blanco. Everybody has their own opinions, ideologies, and ways of doing things. But for me, that's crucial. But this person said, I wasn't notified on time. Well, were you given at least 24 hours? Yeah, but it's still not enough time. So that brings up, that's another layer of
Yeah,
so forth.
Rudy,
Town manager,
not
go
to
ahead.
interrupt you.
No.
But I can guarantee you that each and every person of each and every committee
Right.
gets noticed in the same exact way. So we're not noticing some folks one way and we're excluding some people or
Of
not
course.
noticing them properly, unless we have a bad email address, which I doubt,
I know.
because they have received some notices from us.
Yep. Agree.
I can tell you that each and every member of the committee gets noticed in the very same exact way.
It's the
I'd
same.
like to make a motion if I may.
I'm sorry, it's the second Tuesday of every month or whatever. So they should know by heart when it comes. That's just an excuse. But we should still, as the chair of the committee, whenever you put somebody new, they should say, hey, let's sit down with so-and-so. What do you think of this person? Because in my committee, that is a problem.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion if I may. The issue on the table right now is what the rules to be proposed to remove somebody who has not made the attendance requirements. I'd like to move that the rules that proposed by Vice Mayor Morera as modified by myself be sent out to the chairs for review and comment and to be provided back to the town, whoever the town decides to say is the point of contact. Aisle looks like will be a good point of contact to see serving coffee.
Let me ask you, Bill,
Um,
retroactive or is this?
This is a
From the
proactive,
effective date or-
this is something, no,
No,
just right now drafting a rule.
We
Right
would
now,
probably
drafting
draw a
rule.
line in the sand and
Yeah.
prospective.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we're doing a prospective rule for review, advice and consent of the chairs to be given to Aisle within 2 weeks of, whenever you merge the two proposals, Vice Mayor, if you have the time.
Well,
Yeah, and I guess I agree with that, Bill, and probably it does not require I don't think it requires a motion and a vote. We'll just do it. And it goes back to something the mayor said a little while ago. Both the adoption of modifications to the rules, as well as ultimately, regardless of whatever are written in the rules, the appointment of individual members or the retention of individual members ultimately all of that lies with the members
Right.
of the council.
But my point being that we can keep on going around and around, but I think if we just get the proposed rules and get the
100%.
advice and consent of each of the chairs, everybody puts their input in and we can move forward on
Yeah,
this agenda item.
I agree 100%. And I think that what both Councilmember Hertzberg and the vice mayor, when they were proposing new rules, they both says, this is just ideas. We do want to go before the chair person so we can get some feedback. And this will be more exact feedback. We'll put the proposed rule, send it out to all of the committees, get some feedback from the chair people, from the chairpersons. And then ultimately, one of the members of the council will put forward a proposed rule modification that they'll debate. Anybody from in this room or any member of a council can go and speak in favor or in opposition to it. And then they'll ultimately take a vote and approve some version of a modification to the rules.
If I may, Mr. Town Manager, just as a common sense, type of approach here, the proposed rules, they're good, but in my opinion, I feel they're too complex. And just speaking to everybody here in this body, the accountant in the room that likes to keep things pretty simple. I'm part of BNI Miami Lakes, and we keep things pretty simple. And essentially what we do is we have a 3 strikes and you're out policy at BNI. Now, if you send a substitute, then that doesn't count as an absence. So what I'm proposing for you all to think about is that if you have telecommunication, I know that's been a conversation that got removed, but if you're gonna have an absence, can you attend via Zoom? And that doesn't count as an absence. Now that there's a cap on that. The cap that I'm proposing is you do 2 of Zoom, where you're not in person, and 2 unexcused. I personally do not want to get into the if it's excused, if it's not. I do think what Bill recommended was excellent, talking about people that are on active duty, people that do have a sickness and need to go on leave. I do believe that's something that's essential. And I also do think that there's other things that we need to discuss on the committee rules. But to concentrate on the committee rules, that's what I'm suggesting.
So I actually like that idea where he just brought up, for example, if you can't attend one, if you could attend through Zoom or even a phone call. For example, I have students on my committee that sometimes their parents can't bring them to a meeting, right? But they attend the meeting via phone, but they cannot vote, and their attendance doesn't count. I kind of like that idea that if you cannot make it to a meeting, as long as you're trying to be active in our committee, you're trying to join through Zoom or even through a phone call, right? That's being recorded, things like that. I think that's a pretty
Well-
good idea, just to keep people active in our committee. I would limit it. I wouldn't do unlimited, maybe 1 or 2 or in a special case, right? A case by case basis.
Yeah,
But-
the issue with Zoom was discussed at one of the recent council meetings, and the issue with Zoom, and it was something that we experimented with because we had no choice after the COVID vaccine, right? So after the COVID pandemic. And what we ended up having to do was, because it was difficult to near impossible for the liaison to manage the meeting and manage the Zoom, because people were coming in, coming out, accepting, they're in the waiting room, let them in, let them out. So what we did was, at that time, what we did was brought in an extra person, a second person to the meetings, which was an IT person. And then they would manage the Zoom, similar to how they manage the Zoom for our council meetings. All right. There's a cost to that, right? So what was discussed at the last council meeting was to have Zoom available only for public comments, right? So the liaison, there's no business being conducted during public comments. So it's just the liaison is then capable of opening the Zoom, allowing whoever's in there public comments? Nope. We close public comments. It's over. Now the liaison can not have to pay attention to the Zoom and now can continue to monitor and manage the meeting. That was the compromise. Now, if there's an appetite from the council members to adopt allowing telephone participation, I think that is something that may be doable. Because that you plug them in, you let them, they're on there and they're as if they're in person. But from my perspective, from administration, I wouldn't want to say, yeah, we can do it without having to have an opportunity to consult with staff. If they don't feel that there's an issue with having telephonic participation and having that count for X number of meetings, then I think we can do that. But Zoom participation for an entire meeting, there's going to be a cost to that. And that's something that the council.
Which is understandable. And I understand that. But if we could do phones, like for example, when I interned in Washington, DC for 3 months, I was still on my committee, and I never missed the meeting because I was able to join by either phone or by Zoom. So it's like, for example, a student is on a school trip or they're at home doing homework, or if their parents don't get out of work in time and they can't come to a meeting, it makes it a little bit more difficult when it comes to our students. And even me, I work a new work schedule that I start at 3 a.m.
The whole
So
idea
it
is
kinda
12 meetings in a
changes.
year. So you don't want to obviously open up, the floodgate here, but there's a limit. And I'm just
What-
saying, just a number, 2 and 2, telecommunication. Telecommunication can be Zoom, can be telephone. I feel this is a good opportunity because staff is being trained on public comment. So they would piggyback on this opportunity to have that training and make sure they can allow that one member that's attending the meeting to have access to speak.
If I can, and I'm sorry, I don't want to interrupt everybody, or anyone. Before I started working with the town of Miami Lakes, I sat in one of those chairs because I served on the Cultural Affairs Committee many years ago. If I can offer a suggestion, why are we married to the 50% plus one? Because I feel like if we can reduce that quorum minimum, maybe we can solve all of these problems. Just putting it out there.
I agree with, I can't remember his name. Let's keep everything simple. I think I brought this up because of issues I had in our committee, in the Cultural Affairs Committee. And we never had issues before. I mean, we used to have 21 members in the Cultural Affairs Committee. Now it's down to 12. The idea of having a Zoom meeting is kind of like, I would say, I don't know if it can work or not, because you don't know how many people want to participate. We hardly have any public speaking people in our committee. So I don't know how each committee has people who want to speak in public. I know they do it for the council meeting, and sometimes you hardly have anybody. So I think you have to really be careful, if you open it up. I remember before we had the Zoom, not the Zoom, the other, one time I was driving from work in the heavy thunderstorm, and I called on the phone. I was in my car driving in the rain and the storm and all that. And, but at least I was present. I was able to, because we didn't have, of course, if I'm driving, I cannot watch it on the phone. But I was aware that I could not vote on, but I was at least aware of what was going on. The idea here, this is very promising, because I think I was the one who brought up the issue of the absences. We had a lot of absences in our committee, and we have, like you see, a lot of events that we need to have quorum. And let's keep it simple. Let's like I said, let's review everything, put our input. Like there's some things here that maybe the wording may change. I don't have a copy of Williams, but I think the idea is this is a good beginning. I think it's good that we simplify. I mean, this is getting lengthy. Section 10 is becoming like very lengthy. Everything else in the rules are simple. One thing that I would, and I know in the application, I don't know how it can be incorporated in the rules, because I think it's important, is, and I remember in the form, it said what the town expects from the members, and is attending the events, because we have members that have not attended any events. So it falls on some of us that do the work. And I think it's something that maybe could be added. I don't know. Just throwing ideas out there.
All right, so I think that what we can do is following up on Chairperson Perez, Bill Perez's recommendation is we will put the recommended or the proposed rule changes. We'll send them out via email to each of the committee chairs. You can take them back to your committee. You can beat it up with them. If you have specific recommendations that you want as far as changes to his proposed rule changes, then through your liaison, we'll get them back to the vice mayor. Eventually, he'll compile everything, and then they'll put forward a proposed set of rules to be considered by the entire council. And then with regard to telephonic or Zoom participation, the staff, give us an opportunity to, see how we can work it out best. That'll not overwhelm the liaison, but make the meetings manageable. And then we'll come back with a recommendation at a future meeting.
Just for purposes of establishing timelines here, we're not bringing this back in February, it sounds like. Because
No,
close of NBIs for February is the day after tomorrow, close of agenda is next Wednesday. So I would need to have all of their comments.
yeah, I don't
by
think
next
you're gonna have
Wednesday.
enough time,
So I think that at this point that we're looking at a March item.
at least.
So that actually gives us a little bit more breathing room
Yeah.
to give plenty of time for it to go
And
around.
there's no crisis that this has to come back
Correct.
down February. Better to get it right the first time instead of having it rushed and be flawed.
Correct. And then the emails, you should expect them from your respective committee liaisons. I, for one, when I unite these two and take into account all the comments I've heard today, I'm actually going to be sending it to Gina and Alexis, and then they'll be sending it to the committee liaisons who will send it out respectively to you guys. You guys communicate with them.
Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, let me chime in a little bit here. Good evening to everyone. I actually sat here patiently. Thank you. Oh, I just want to make sure everybody can hear us on Zoom. Almost, not close enough. It's another Rudy. So I've actually sat here patiently, listened to every single comment that came across this. I'm proudly can say that I've been sitting on this committee over 10 years. And not if every year, Claricel maybe can chime in, this comes up. Okay? There's one common denominator that the majority of you said. And you know what it came down to? Does anybody have any idea? Execution. And you know what execution? Which part of execution? Removing the committee members. That's what I mean by executing and adhering to these rules. A year? That's embarrassing. 6 months? Embarrassing. 2 years? Unheard of. Has nothing to do with these rules, guys. It has nothing to do with them. The rules are fine. They've been polished and polished and polished again and repolished. I mean, I don't know. Raise your hand if you've been sitting on a committee for over 10 years, except Felicia. Okay? So I can tell you that I've seen it. I've seen a lot. And again, it's execution. If you have a member, there's a process. They said it 1,000,000 times. What is the process? There's an attendance sheet, right? You record the absences. You let the liaison know. You notify that this individual has missed more than 3, meetings. She sends it to the clerk. The clerk notifies the member and the councilman, says this individual, it's automatically out. They vote in it. But then again, they go talk to the council member. The council member knows him for 20 years. Yeah, it's okay. No big deal. I get it. But guys, going over these rules again, in my opinion, it's a waste of time, of energy, of money, of everybody's. I'm telling you, it's execution. That's it. You miss your 3 days, there is a process. But if now we're not following the process, what good does it do to add 3 or 4 paragraphs or delete 5 or 7 if we're not following this? I mean, I just saw, I'm sorry, Lorenzo, what is your title? Lorenzo, I mean,
That's the title.
he gets, I'm sure he looks at this and he says, again, the same rules. I mean, come on, guys. It gets to a point where, we got to hold accountable. Without the respect, they do a great job, a staff, to then hold accountable our council members. That's it. That's my humble opinion.
Clara, so when were the rules last amended with regard to attendance? 23. We're in 25, about a year and a half or so ago. You're talking about 2 years might be a Cuban exaggeration. It might not be. It sounds about right to around that time. I get what you're saying. I hear you. You're right. It is about execution. You do have to execute, but you have to have a rule to execute. The current rule says excessive absences may result in removal of the committee member by the town council. It comes up to us and it might get removed. And there's no procedure or process for it. That's what we're trying to do. That's what Bill's process seeks to do. That's what this one seeks to do, is create a process to execute it.
There is a process. Go ahead, Lorenzo.
Brutally honest, because it's really was not the council currently, but the previous council, because almost the entire composition of the new council is new. That what would happen, and it was very frustrating to staff, is that the 3 absence rule would come in. Person would be kicked out. They'd contact their council person. Oh, I'm sorry. And then the council person would reinstate them. And then it would happen again. It was a vicious cycle and happened over and over again. So that's why the change was made, that ultimately it was in the council's hand whether or not to remove the person. So just come back full circle. So that's the reason or the genesis behind that.
But that's exactly why I actually do agree with Rudy, and Ed knows this because I've vented to him about this a million times, is that it really does come at the end of the day, whichever rule we have, to the council, right? Because whether we reinstate the old rule about three strikes you're out, or some other variation of that, like what we have now, ultimately the action's on us. As Lorenzo pointed out, we had a very different council back then. Times are different, new sheriffs are in town, but listening to all the feedback as well, I do think that most of our problems would either be solved with Clarice's solution, or ultimately that we have to, as uncomfortable as it may be, for us to actually remove these people, even if you've known them for 20 years. What I do like is maybe reintroducing a sort of hybrid, right? That after 5 absences, maybe, that for sure, that they're gone, right? But we also need some kind of prohibition on getting back into the committee. Maybe that would be another thing to consider.
Yes.
I'm reading it out for the first time.
It says all of that.
If
One-
I could recommend, and I like this idea about the 90-day, but I would recommend making it longer, because council members are on the council for 4 years. They could wait out 3 months
180?
before they appoint someone. I'd make it a year.
Yeah, but
180?
why don't we do it through the process that Bill Perez recommended, which is let these go out by email. You guys, each of the chairpersons, give him feedback, because we can go micromanaging each little sentence, a word here, a word there, and we can be here 5-6 hours trying to beat this up. So I think the most productive way of doing it is the way Bill recommended, which is to have these rules emailed out to the committees consider them, send back recommendations, and then the vice mayor will compile them into one collective set of proposed rule changes.
Okay. What,
Sorry, Lorenzo, I tried.
Now, to please make sure that when they're going to reinstate them, they have to come back to the committee and have the committee agree.
Make that recommendation
Make that work, because it's not
to,
fair, like I
to the
said.
vice mayor
You're
with
somebody's
an
friend,
email.
You went on a trip, so we threw you out, or you didn't come, so we had to. And then you go back to your friend and your friend puts you back in the committee for the same circle. We can't do that.
Okay. Thank you.
I
All
don't-
right, moving on to the next item, which is marketing and social media.
if I may, Mr. Town Manager, sorry to interrupt. If also a suggestion to this group as well, I think it would be a good idea to add a code of conduct to the rules. Code of conduct when,
Email, make it a recommendation if it's going to be,
in there? Okay.
yeah,
All right.
committee rule, because it'll be a rule. So just, if you have a recommendation, they may not accept it. But if there's any recommendation you want to make to embed in these rules or changes to these rules, send it via email to the vice mayor, and that way they can consider it and then they can put it in.
Really quick, and this is not a recommendation or anything. I just wanted to remind or let the new chairs know that your committee has bylaws as well and their own set of rules. So look into those as well. I was told we do.
There's one set of rules.
Okay,
and You
so,
have your resolution.
or that, yeah. Yeah, because I know, like, for example, my committees works a little bit different because I have students on my committee that are under the age of 18. So we have different sets of rules too,
Yeah,
which aren't highlighted here.
There's only two sets of rules. One is the resolution that created each individual committee. And that resolution is probably where the information is about the membership and the student participation and so forth. So there's the resolution that created the committee that has certain bits of information. And then these collective set of committee rules that all committees are governed by.
Okay.
All right. So the next thing is going to be the communication, marketing and social media strategy.
I distributed this packet to all of you. Just to be brief, it provides all of the tools that are at our disposal and of course at your disposal in order to market your events and your initiatives. But I want to put something on everybody's radar. We really need your cooperation with timely announcements of events. It makes it very, very hard for us and for me and my staff to market an event when there's 2 weeks, 3 weeks to go. So please, we support all of your initiatives, but keep in mind that in order to provide enough time for us to get the information out to our community, we do need time for us to create the marketing materials and make sure that we communicate with the Miami Laker, post it on social media, and give it a nice marketing effort to get the crowd and the community out to your events.
I have a question on that. Can you please raise your hand if your committee that has submitted an event, you said 2 weeks, Claricel? No, I'm saying within a 2-week period that you've told staff that we're going to hold an event 2 weeks from today. Raise your hand if your committee has done that. 1, 2, 3. Okay. How many committees we have? Well, okay. No, I just wanted to see how big of a problem or a situation it is of committees submitting staff, right, events in 2 weeks or less. That's all. Thank you.
It's not only just saying, hey, we're going to do an event in 2 weeks. There's also that coordination of providing information about the event and those kinds of things. So basically at the 30,000 foot level, I think her message was just the more time that the information is
100%.
right. That allows the communication and the marketing of the event more time to be more effective. I think was the focus of that. So I'm going to take the liberty of inserting the item that public safety asked to consider here first before we move on to the round the table of all of the committee reports. So date of next meeting. Carlos, you wanted to discuss that?
Yes, I did. Thank you. So we're talking about minutes and now I can't remember. I believe it says on here somewhere we meet once a quarter. Is that? Okay. All right, beautiful. So in that case, if those of you that plan ahead, at least I try. Right now, today is the 4th of February, so May 4th is Star Wars Day. We can't do that. Cinco de Mayo, we can't do that. We do live in the town of Cancun Grill. That's a pretty big holiday for us. Well, actually, here we go. May 6th. How does that sound to everybody for our next meeting?
Tuesday.
Yeah, we'll take that as a recommendation and then
right.
when we'll look at it and then we'll send out the invites because there's a lot of moving parts to the setting of these quarterly meetings. So
And can we please make sure that the emails are correct? Because I didn't receive a notification about this meeting. I saw it on the website. And actually, I found out about this meeting because Councilmember Herzberg sent me an email saying that there was a meeting.
What's your email address?
Brian, I'm not gonna say it because I don't need everyone.
All right.
I'll give it to you. I'll give it
It's
to you.
public records anyways. They can request. When was the last time, when was the last time we had this committee, no?
It's not in your calendar?
No, does anybody know when was the last time we had our quarterly meeting? October, November? Okay. I mean, we're right on schedule. Okay. That work? Okay.
Let's move on to the around the table. So instead of going alphabetically or reverse alphabetically, we'll go geographically. So Rudy, you're first. In proximity to me.
He's trying to get rid of me quicker. Good idea. All right, so we have our bike rides that are coming up. We had one that we had to cancel because of the weather. I was trying to look to see if I had the bike ride. Do we have the date of the next bike ride by any chance, Andy? In March? April 5th? Okay, there we go, April 5th. And we're still pending the rescheduling of the one that we recently canceled. That's one. The other things that we're working on, we're trying to get additional transformers wrapped up. So I don't know if anybody remembers a few years back, we had about 4 or 5 with nice wrapping around them. We're trying to get a few others done as well around the town. We're working on ways to beautify under the Palmetto Expressway. We've been doing that for about 27 years. Okay, so hopefully in the next few years, we can kind of, get it done. Lake awareness, we're also working on lake awareness and how do we protect our waterways as well. We're trying to help pass a resolution or amend a resolution, right? Pass a new resolution, Felicia? You got jacked?
We have 2 memos to the council. One has to do the proposal of an ordinance regarding protecting our lakes from any, I think it was material that would contaminate and so forth. I don't have the memo here. And the second memo to the council is to beautify an area that belongs to FDOT. So those are the 2 proposals that we're hoping to bring it to the council.
We're also finding ways to connect to the community. If anyone has any suggestions, how do we connect to the community and find out input on, on what they feel we should be doing to improve our community? We're open for suggestions. We're struggling a little bit there, trying to find a topic of interest, right, to bring in that traffic into our meetings. And the other one, it has to do with the Aiden Perry Hero Life Ring. Aiden Perry. No, it's Aiden. Aiden Perry Hero Life Ring Initiatives. So this is a gentleman, a young, I'm not going to go into the whole, but this is a young man that went into a canal or a lake to save somebody else's life. And in the process, he passed away himself. It came through the Neighborhood Improvement Committee. It was said at the council meeting. And the only disappointing part, which I will be reporting to the council in the next few months, is we did not fund the minimum numbers of rings like every other municipality that was requested to do that. it was pennies, to be quite honest with you. And I understand the taxpayers' money, but this was a good cause. I've seen money utilized for other things that are no near this. But again, I respect whatever it is that they spend the money on. The entire committee was very disappointed that it was not funded by the town and that they put it out forgot what other way of collecting funds. So I will be reporting on that matter at the next few meetings whenever we report to council. And hopefully the council turns around and says to the committee, we hear you loud and clear, and they agree with us in funding those live rings. That's all.
Okay. It's I'm the new kid on the block. So it's been great to attend this forum and hear from all of you, and more than anything, inspired by all of you. I know it takes effort. It's not just a monthly meeting. There's a lot of work that comes in between. And I think that unified, we can make a difference even better across different committees. And I know that's something that this forum is excellent for. But before I get into, that, I will tell you some of the things that are going on right now in the Public Safety Committee. I'm sure you see us from time to time. We work in partnership with the Sheriff's Office. We're lucky enough to work with a great group of sheriffs, especially Amador and Detective Nieves, which are active in our committee. And we've been doing the Coffee with a Cop. We try to do that now every quarter. That is, obviously quarterbacked by the Sheriff's Department, and we work in partnership with them. There's some events that we're going to help with this year, like National Night Out. Hopefully get that out to actually get people to come out to that event. I know last year was a low attendance. Something that it will be hopefully I'll be presenting in our report to council, some new ideas that have been coming up, like Coffee of a Medic, which is the fire department wants to have some fun, have some coffee with the community as well. They're very active in our community, and I feel that the interaction would be paramount for that. The 9/11 event was graciously handed over to us by Bill. Thank you, Bill. I guess you'll take the credit since you're here. But nonetheless, that's one of our events, and we're doing different awarenesses, awareness campaigns throughout the year. Something that we hear a lot from the community, where Amador has been hearing from HOAs, is that a crime has occurred and no one has called it in. So we've been working on a 3054 police campaign. We need to work on some of the marketing of it to change it all over to the sheriffs. But that's something we've been doing, through social media. We're getting some magnets. We hope to give out those magnets and any other, little knickknacks, in our different events that we have. The January was Human Trafficking Awareness Month. Went out to, the chambers and really getting that word out about human trafficking. It's a huge problem here in Florida, especially in Miami-Dade County. So these are awareness campaigns that are happening throughout the year that I feel that we can partner with in different committees. For example, I hear a lot, and the city of Miami, I believe, has the do the right thing. That's something that possibly, one of the other committees might hear of a student in Miami Lakes that does the right thing. We would love to know about that recognition. We have challenge coins that we do every year. We would love to award the student, for doing something right. So that's something where we can work together. I know there's bicycle safety. That's also something that Nancy has been very actively involved with every single year. We would love to partner with you all as well. And there's different events. Hopefully, we'll be going to town council to ask for potentially a event that would be a car show here in the town later in the year to honor those police and fire. Again, that is subject to council approval. But nonetheless, that's something that I feel will be great to bring forth our local heroes that serve us every single day. But nonetheless, more than anything, this forum is great so that we can get to know each other. Whether it's, I would love to go around the room, give everybody my cell phone, anything that we can work together on. I know we work, Matthew Casamayor, I work very closely with his dad, Tico, and that's something that works hand in hand with the Coffee of a Cop, with new restaurants in the town that we can help promote with the police department. So thank you for your time.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Bill Perez, Chairman of the Veterans Committee. I will be brief. We have the Vietnam Anniversary Fishing with America's Finest, April 5th. That's going to happen at Veterans Park. We have the the Veterans Monument that we've given the town 10 grand. Where's my plans, Ed? Where are they? Well, hopefully we'll get some movement on it pretty soon because we're waiting actually to get some fundraising done. We have substantial folks or substantial backers who wish to provide quite a bit of money that will allow us basically not to have any taxpayers pay anything for this Veterans Monument. And the idea is basically it's going to be a monument in Veterans Park. It's going to be marble and stone. It's going to have those who are veterans of Miami Lakes named on their service. And one thing I'd like to try to do is see if we can put a QR code so folks can actually look at the name, press the QR code, and pull up that person's biography so they know more about them than just a name on there. I'm trying to kind of create a little historical society section for Miami Lakes. Jeremy, he sent me an update last month. You know, I guess that's pretty good. But, you know, last month was last month, brother, and last month. Well, yeah, you know, I'm going to quote, what have you done for me lately, basically. Okay. The other thing we're working on is with Representative Fabrizio, and he's done a great job on this, is we proposed that any Purple Heart recipient in the state of Florida who has a Purple Heart plate not pay any tolls. And he actually put that through the Ways and Means Committee. It scored well. And he is going to propose that legislation. He already has a senator backing it, and he's pretty sure the governor will sign it once it's passed. So this town initiated that program to help our veterans who have Purple Hearts not to pay any tolls on our highways in Florida. That's all I got for Veterans Committee. For Mental Health Task Force that I'm a member of, we have a event going on May 19th with the police, the sheriff's office. Responding with Compassion. It's a joint information session. It's going to happen here, and it deals with basically how they respond to a family member or someone with a mental health crisis. That's all I got. Thanks.
Thank you. Rudy Blanco for the Blasting Advisory Board. Well, finally, we got good news, I would say, in that regard. Hot off the press, we have 2 bills in the Florida legislature. Thank God. And they all deal with relief for the residents. So I think that's very, very interesting. Tom Fabrizio has introduced, as of last Friday, HB 303, which still being analyzed, I would tell legal, and 303, HB 303. And I think that's House of Representatives, House bill. And the companion bill was, as of today, 2 or 3 hours ago, Senate Bill 486 by Brian Avila, also seeking relief for our residents as part of the statutes 552 and 556 and all the other ones. But I always caution, I always like to be very conservative. I want our town council people, our legal, to take a look at that, review that statute and everything else. But I think it's a lobby for that too, of course. I'm in favor of any type of relief at this time. I mean, the last couple of weeks has been like every single day, 2 or 3 blasts. But anyway, we know that already. But that is hot off the press for the Senate bill, which just passed by Brian Avila. And again, HB 303 and SB 486. And another note that we're doing at the same time in conjunction with the town on February 27th, we're going to have a community municipal workshop, which we're working on. And I implore and I ask all of you, all of the chairmen and all of your committees to be a part of that. We need involvement from our community. We're going to have different representatives, different communities and municipalities, Doral, Hialeah Gardens, Miramar, that are other municipalities which are being affected. At the same time, we're going to bring Representative Fabrizio also to explain this bill that's being proposed, is being introduced into the legislature, Florida legislature. We asked Mayor Cava to participate, Senator Garcia to participate, our representative, and basically Stephen Herzberg himself too, council member, Steve Herzberg. So I think that's very important and that's vital And I implore all of you to participate too and spread the word. Because besides whatever legal issues or besides whatever bills are passed, involvement of the Miami Lakes residents is critical. We don't have that, we don't have anything. And I think we know that, pretty clear already for the last 2, 3, 4, or 5 years. So February 27th, it'll be here in Town Hall, 6:30 to 8:30 is what we're calling for at that time. Our lobbying efforts continue, whether it's dealing with the Miami-Dade delegation that Stephen Herzberg, Vice Chair Martinez, and myself participated on. I think that was very good because we made it clear to the Dade delegation that we have a problem here in Northwest Dade, that we have a problem here in Miami Lakes. And I know that Mayor Josh Diegas has also been involved, and he's very close to that and very aware of what's going on. And we know it's a priority, and it's one of the top priorities for the town of Miami Lakes. In retrospect of that, I did my homework in January. I went up with the Greater Miami Chambers of Commerce, Government Affairs Committee, and try to push for them, myself going up there too, and lobbying at the same time, piggybacking with them. So the inroads are made already. I talked to a variety of different people. Mike Redondo was a very important state representative in Southwest Dade, David Barrero, Juan Porras, every single one of them, and including our new Speaker of the House, Danny Perez, also, who's very interested in this situation because it's affecting us. And who knows in the future how many other communities will be affected by blasting. And it could even be in the west coast of Florida. That's also, I heard that from one of the representatives over there, Adam Botana, and he's being affected in the Cape Coral area and in the Fort Myers area. So I think that's becoming a big issue now. So the lobbying efforts continue. And actually, we're going to try to do a podcast too, in order to get the community involved with the Blasting Advisory Board, with the Miami Lakes Chamber of Commerce. And they've opened up for us to be part of that podcast and give an update also to the community and to the town as to what's going on with blasting. And as for legal and everything else, well, we're still waiting on legal opinions and legal scenarios from our town representatives and our town council. So, go ahead.
Just to add also, the county itself is starting to take a stand on this blasting issue. We had Tomas Alcala, who's now become the chief of staff for Mayor Cava. His replacement that covers our area. I've been talking with her today all day. And she will be at the meeting, and so I was educating her on the issues, and she's going to be bringing a speaker from the county along with the department from RER to this committee meeting as well, community meeting. Things are moving.
Besides that, we got 2 new members, which is very good. That's huge for us, for our committee. Avoids a lot of quorum issues and so forth. So thank you, everyone.
Good evening, everyone. I see a lot of new faces here, so I'll just introduce myself. My name is Brian Rodriguez. I'm lead chair for the Youth Activities Task Force, going on 13 years now on this committee. So a long time. Real quick, we've been doing a lot with the YATF. I didn't know we had a meeting in November for this, so I'll give you my email after to just fix that. But we recently, going back to October, we had our Halloween event again. Huge event, a lot of people, bigger than we've ever had, and we are planning for next year to go bigger, but the problem is money. But I'll get to that in a moment here on things I wanted to talk about regarding our committee and as well as other committees that might be affected by this as well. Next, we had our first, or technically our second Youth Advocacy Award for the town of Miami Lakes. It was presented at the State of the Town, and we plan on doing that again next year. And that's honoring a student that was nominated for their service to the community regarding volunteering and things that they do in school and their academics. Next, in December, we had our first holiday festival for the town of Miami Lakes. Basically replacing movies at the park that we usually have. We kind of made it into a holiday festival type event. big event, a huge success. A lot of people did show up. I know we wanted to have a drone show, but with timing and all that logistics, we couldn't do it, but we are planning on doing that for another event that we have at night in our town. I won't give out too many details, but overall, the residents loved our holiday festival that we had. I know the vice mayor was at that event, and we did have a great attendance for it. Next, we have.
Can I ask a question on that? What exactly did the event, was the event about?
Yeah, so basic, like I said, it was almost like a movies at the park where we had our movie, but we also made it into a holiday type festival where we had food trucks, not just like if you've ever been to one of our movies where we have 1 or 2 food trucks, there are about 10 food trucks, vendors selling little things, whatever they had, almost like a tiny farmer's market type thing. Pictures with Santa Claus, arts and crafts with ornaments, fun things like that.
And a movie was playing at the same
And a
time?
movie was playing. Yep,
Okay, and where was this at?
this was at Veterans.
Veterans, okay, same, okay, thank you.
Yep. Next on the list, we have Spring Fling coming up soon. We are already planning Spring Fling. That's in the works. And then if I'm missing anything, I do apologize. But last but not least, our committee was given the honor and asked to create a time capsule for the 25-year anniversary of the town of Miami Lakes by the previous mayor and council. We're having a little bit of trouble working on this because we weren't given a budget for this time capsule. So we don't know what we're working with. We can't really plan things when we can't budget a time capsule. If we did our research, time capsules are not cheap. They are not cheap at all if you want something to last for 25 years in the ground.
How much are they then?
One that's budget affordable, I think we were looking at around $6,000 just for the actual capsule itself. If you want it large enough and not a tube.
Ed, can you find out what the town used last time? Because we've previously done this, so I'm just curious to see how big that capsule was.
Yeah.
What vendor we got it from.
And I know
so-
our liaison, we asked our liaison to send a proposal over to the town for it. I've never heard back from him about it. I'll have to reach out again if, I don't know if he talked to you guys about it. Basically what we found was, and I proposed, was doing 2 time capsules. Yes, they're expensive, but one of them, or these time capsule, one of them that we found, it's a professional company that creates time capsules that are weather resistant and could sustain South Florida weather. There's one that comes with little pods, and we were saying to have it sponsored. Each pod, you could have up to 300 pods, for example, in a box. The less you have, the bigger the pods, obviously, and you could make that a sponsored type time capsule, and people could donate or sponsor that little pod and put whatever they want inside of it. I think we were talking about even getting the residents involved, things like that. The other idea was working with the committees in the town, and putting stuff from 2025 into this time capsule to be open 25 years later. We are still working on that, but obviously without a budget, we don't know what size time capsule we can get. And size matters when it comes to how much stuff we could put in.
Well, I would encourage the committee to make a decision, obviously a cost-effective decision as to which one they'd like us to consider before, instead of us giving you a number, you guys actually give us a few options, again, without getting crazy on the price,
Of
right?
course.
For us to consider. That what I would tell all the committees though, looking ahead, is that this is probably going to be another tight budget year. So I would not be expecting substantial, if any, increases to your baseline budget this year. Just, or at least be very guarded with your request when you're making them, instead of just trying to throw everything and see what sticks.
Correct. I know we did come together as a committee and looked at different companies. Believe it or not, there's not a lot of time capsule companies out there. If you go on Amazon, your time capsules are going to be about this big, and they're a little tube, like little metal or PVC pipe. We did get the quotes from them already. We sent it over. The liaison has all of that. He said he was going to request it or propose it to the town.
Yeah, but
We're just waiting on that.
put it together, like the mayor said, which is the best way, is 2 or 3 options.
There are a few options on there.
Okay. then get it, it's in the right hands and then it'll move up
Correct.
the food chain.
So the other question is, when do we want to do this? Because that's the other issue is at one point they were saying March, but that's impossible.
No, remember that because I guess it was in honor of the 25th anniversary of the town, which really doesn't happen until December.
Correct. And
Right,
that's what I was
So
under the
you have
impression of.
plenty of time to get this. In fact, funding doesn't even have to happen now at the mid-year mark. It could happen in October.
Of course.
You know, at least the commitment to it, right? You can't plan at the last second in October, but at least the funding can come through in October. So the council is going to have some time to digest it and have 2 or 3 options for them to mull over. And then we'll figure out at what point in time in the year will the funding happen.
Okay, so would the town be okay with us doing it in December when when the 25-year anniversary is recognized and celebrated? Because I was told that it had to be before summer. So if the more time we have, the more we could logistically put this together, our liaison.
I would bring a proposal to your June report to council with what the options, the costs, and all of the details for the council to already start working on that.
That works with me. I appreciate it. One final thing that my committee has been struggling with is getting sponsorships. When it comes to sponsors to the town, half of my committee are students, half of us are adults. Most of the adults do work, and it's hard to go meet with different sponsors. And when our students go out, believe it or not, businesses are scared to give money to students for sponsorships. My committee is struggling a little bit with sponsorships, so we do want some guidance on how we could go on getting sponsorships, because unfortunately I've exhausted all the sponsor contacts that I have. And after asking them over and over again, they don't want to sponsor as much anymore. And things are getting more expensive, so those sponsorship dollars don't go as far as they used to. So if we could have some guidance from the town regarding sponsors and what we can do, since it's a lot harder to get sponsors these days. And our budget keeps going or doesn't move and things are going up.
Yeah, so Brian, on that note, ISLE worked with Memorial Healthcare Systems and secured $5,000 for specifically your committee. I think the larger
Correct.
The
Yeah, that's the
larger,
only
uh,
like main
pot
sponsor.
was, what was the negotiation for all of the events that they've $18,000. So
Yeah.
a good portion of that has been earmarked for your committee.
Correct. Correct. I'm talking about other sponsorships, local businesses, things of that nature. I know my committee did talk about this as well. And I just wanted to bring it up to you guys where we had sponsors in the past that would give half a check of the sponsorship dollar and never give the other half. We have gone ahead as a committee and told these sponsors that they need to pay the full amount because it's not fair to other sponsors that are sponsoring. I don't know if anyone else has had that issue. Is there a contract when it comes to sponsorships that they have to put up the full amount when they sponsor?
Traditionally, we do not accept deposits for sponsorships. You either pay the entire sponsorship upfront. At that point, once the funds are deposited, then we will add you to the marketing materials. We've had issues in the past where a sponsor committed to sponsoring. We were nice enough and allowed them to be put on our marketing materials, and it's kind of bit us in the behind. So
Yeah.
our best practice is unless the sponsor pays the total upfront, we're not going to recognize them as a sponsor.
Got it. Yeah, we had an issue with one of our sponsors that did that, paid half and then demanded more, and then never pay, and we gave them a little bit more leeway. They never paid the other half, and we could deny sponsors, correct? Okay, I wanted to make sure we could do that. But that's it for youth activities.
Thank you.
Hello. Okay, we have a lot of things going on. I'm Charo with the Elderly Affair Committee. We have bingos, we have activities planned like field trips, movie nights. We're going to see South Pacific. And we also have a couple of things going on in Coral Gables. We have at least 4 or 5 things going on each month. So we're super busy. And that, we're great. Really? We have no complaints.
Thank you.
How do we do that? We're just happy, I guess. We go along, our people are happy and we do great.
Thank you.
What?
Felicia. Pass the microphone over to Felicia.
Okay, Felicia Salazar, Cultural Affairs Committee. As you know, we have a lot of activities going on, and I'll start. I basically, you said our last meeting was in October, the quarterly meeting? Yeah, because I don't want to repeat myself. I know we had, I'm going by the calendar here. We had Hispanic Heritage Month, celebrating Argentina here in this room, and it was amazing. The new members that we have in the committee did a great job putting it together. So we're thinking of, for the next one, we're going to do Peru. So we're looking forward to that. The next item, I think it was October, November. December, we had the holiday book reading. Again, very successful. We had our Mrs. Claus do the show. And that was again, we had the first time a mayor attended. Thank you, Josh. And the January, and then we're looking forward to our Main Street Live is an event that we had back in 2005. I was searching back on the old minutes, and it was the committee allocated money for that. It was a temporary thing to do. So at our last chairs meeting, I brought that up and thanked to Matthew. He said, let's bring it back. So I've been working on that for a while. We have some bands committed. Unfortunately, in January, we had to postpone it because of the rain. The one coming up is another band, actually a local, one of the members is a son of one of our dear residents. The band is called Brothers of Others, and in March we're going to have Glass Block. We want to see how it goes. I brought the idea to the Economic Development Committee, and this coming Thursday we're going to have a subcommittee to discuss more collaboration and getting sponsorship for the events and so forth, because the merchants are very happy that we're doing this, because it will bring people from outside. And actually for the March band is there are her people that want to come from the East Coast, from I guess downtown area. So they have a following. All these bands have following. So we want to bring new people in, and in the last, and I don't want to take Matthew's spot. In the last Economic Development Committee, some of the members said that we want to bring activity to Main Street. And one of the things that I wrote in my little note here about the history of the Main Street Live, it was that to bring live performances to our town center, we'll continue making this Main Street and our town a great place to enjoy art and visit the restaurants. I know the town has been doing a great job promoting the restaurants, and but we want to bring the art component to it. And then the next item, so in February 22nd, we finally got the I know we're a little bit behind on that one. We only have a couple of weeks to promote it, but the church, we're having our Black History Month. We're bringing back the Florida Memorial University Ambassador Chorale, and people have been calling me, are we going to have something for Black History Month? Who are you bringing? So hopefully we'll have the flyer ready. I'm willing to help out on it if staff doesn't have anybody to do it. So basically, that's the next event. In March 15th, we're having Women of Distinction. So we're hoping, I think our deadline is February 10th. And I don't know how many people we have signed up for it. So then March, and then in May, we have Penny Picture for Mom. And then the fishing tournament and on and on and on. You have, so if you have any questions about the events that are coming up, feel free to reach out to me. We've been, I put together this real quick and we used it the last 4th of July. And people loved it because they could see what was coming. So I recommend that every committee that has activities like the Youth Task Force, put a calendar like this so people can visually see what's coming. And I know we work with the town, promoting the events with the marketing, but visual things, people like to see that and they can just take pictures. I hope I'm not forgetting anything else. Yes, basically that. So please come to our events, spread the word.
Thank you. Economic development.
Cool. Thank you, guys. Matthew Casamayo, Economic Development Committee. I'll kind of talk about what just happened. So last week we had our first business networking social of the year, partnered with the BNI, partnered with the Miami Lakes Chamber and us. And it was great. We had it at Gauchos. It was a great success. One of our most attended ones, I think it was about 50, 60 people, and it was pretty filled up in there. I think you were there, right, Carlos? I think it went well. Oh, you didn't go to that one? Oh, sorry. My bad. I called you out here. My bad. But yeah, it went pretty well. Upcoming, our next one is going to be February 26th, the Wednesday at Amazonia. So that's right here, right across the street of Main Street. So if anybody wants to make it, we'd appreciate it. And then our big thing that we're working on this year, like Felicia mentioned, is going to be the Main Street Live. So we talked about it in the last committee chair meeting that we had here, that we wanted to kind of work together really to boost and bring back Main Street. We've got the owner of Chella's, Carlos, in our committee. So he's really dedicated to boosting Main Street. And I think it's something that's important too, is our town center, to really make sure it's popping. And we've got a lot of stuff going on there. So one thing that we're going to do, like Felicia said, just to double down on it, is we're going to have a subcommittee this Thursday. We're going to really go into detail on how the EDC can help the Cultural Affairs Committee, especially when it comes to sponsorship and funding, and to really see that event happen and have it keep going. And we want to see how else we can participate and grow with that event. Because one thing that the EDC's experienced, at least, is a lot of generosity from our business community. We have our boot camp event at the end of the year, or near the end of the year, every year over the past 2 years. And we always get a really hefty amount of sponsorships, either breakfast sponsors and people sponsoring attendance, sponsoring the actual bags and things like that. So we've got a lot of sponsors in the business community, and I definitely want to tap into that to see if we can help out the Culture Affairs and really boost Main Street Live.
When is that planned for? Because
Yeah.
huh?
Yeah, go ahead.
When is it planned for? Do you have a date yet? No.
For Main Street Live?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's February 21st. I know it's 3 weeks. Yeah.
Because is that something that has come before the council for approval? Because it's
This is something that I think need clarification, because this event happened years ago. It was approved by the committee. I don't know if it needs to go to the council again. I mean, I know we have a new council. When we do our reports, and I don't want to take your time, our council report to the council, we mentioned in 2 of them that we were going to do the Main Street Live. So the committee approved that report, which included that activity. We presented it to the council. The council, I guess, I don't know if it
But
was,
when was the last time that Main Street Live was done?
more
or less.
2005. And then we
20 years ago?
Yeah, and I have all the documents, all the minutes of the members back then, and we used to have so many activities, it's just scary. But yeah, we like I said, we presented it as our report. The committee voted on the report, agree what the content of the report was.
Yep. But
So,
just, it's probably not a big deal, but this committee, that event is not an approved event, right? And most of the events that this group or any of the committees come up with are usually not a problem. Once in a blue moon, a committee will come up with an event that there is some issues with, right? And that has debate and maybe not even get approved. So that's why any new event, whether it's by yourself or in conjunction with another committee, even if it was done 20 years ago and now you're going to resurrect it, has to come back before the committee, even if you're not asking, or not before the committee, before the council for approval, just because things change, so forth. So if one of you can go to the council meeting and give a 3-minute during public comments, not a committee report, but during public comments, a quickie, 3-minute, say, we want to resurrect this. We had planned it. We thought that it was already embedded in our, something embedded in a report is not the same as saying, hey, we want to pitch this idea and ask for approval from the council.
Yeah.
So just to make it clean so that there's no issues, so nobody can later complain and say, oh, these guys went forward, they didn't get the approval from there for this event. Please, if one of you can go to the council meeting coming up now in February, go before the committee.
Okay, I definitely will, because I think this event will help the town.
I know, no, I'm
so far.
not saying, I'm not debating the merits of the event. The event is probably going to be great, but just to make it clean, just please go before in public comments and give a 2-minute, say, there was discussion. We thought that it was embedded by being in the report that was good enough, but we were asked to come back and just ask for approval, have them make a single vote on that event just to get it approved. And that way there's no.
Okay,
no
yeah,
question.
because in one of our meetings, I brought it up and they say, is it gonna cost us anything? I said, at the moment, we have, sponsors and we have economic development in the chamber who said, okay. That's how the committees, and you can watch the video and.
Right, so just, so
So it's just the council that we need approval on?
2 seconds, say,
Okay.
there was some question about whether this was approved. We just want to resurrect this event. It was done 20 years ago. We want to resurrect it. There's no.
Yeah, because we
expense,
had
not
to
asking
book
for
that
more money.
too, and,
We just want the
yeah.
blessing of the council. If you can please pass a motion asking for and I'll chime in.
yeah.
That's.
No,
gonna
I
be the gist of
know,
it.
I was confused. I said, we've been talking about this since last year. Thank
So-
you so much.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, Matt.
No, I get it. I'll be there too. So makes it easy. Yeah, sounds good. But other than that, that's pretty much it. We're gonna have our big business boot camp towards the end of the year, and that was pre-approved years ago, so we're good there. And then other than that, we'll have networking socials coming, and we have that as a line item too. So we're good. We're covered.
Okay,
Thanks, guys.
thank you. Education.
Hello, good evening. My name is Jacqueline Anzar. I'm the Vice Chair of the Educational Advisory Board. I'm here in place of Ms. Soto. She was unable to attend. So we just had our first ever Miami Lake Spelling Bee. We hosted that earlier this month. It was a great success. Vice Mayor Morera was here. We had students, 6th graders from Miami Lakes K through 8, Miami Lakes Middle, and Bob Graham. They competed. Miami Lakes K through 8 won. It was a great event. We're already thinking about what it's going to look like next year. We want to make sure that maybe we can convince Our Lady of the Lakes to participate. We would like their 6th graders to be a part of it as well. We're very happy about that. They received we're going to call it a traveling trophy. They get to keep it for a year, and then next year they get to battle it out for that trophy. The kids were very excited. Yeah, thank you. We also, the Cultural Affairs Committee mentioned about the Miss Claus story time. We donated the books for the children for that event. And that's something that we feel very strongly about. We are currently working on developing the Award of Excellence event and all that entails. Also the graduation pendants that are available every year for our Miami Lakes graduates. And we have a relatively new board. We have a lot of ideas, lots of educators on there. So we're very excited, but everything's going very well.
Got a question on that.
Yes.
Is there a possibility for the spelling bee that has ever been brought for discussion to have one just for the town of Miami Lakes kids that can sign up instead of only being school? And the reason I ask is that unfortunately, or fortunately, my child doesn't attend a school that is in the town of Miami Lakes, but I think it would be nice if it opens up, maybe, whoever wants to participate, and of course, 6th graders and higher, or 6th grade, whatever it is, but instead of doing a school thing, if it can just be children of Miami Lakes.
I will definitely bring that up to the board. I don't see why not. When we held the event, it was about 2 weeks ago. We had board member Robert Alonso here, and he suggested organizing one for just District 4. So just organizing one for students who live in Miami Lakes would be great. I will bring it up to our meeting. We meet on Monday. I'll let you know.
Dang.
District 4, it includes us. It includes a few.
Parts
a
of
few-
Hialeah.
Parts of Hialeah, yeah. I mean, it's not just Hialeah, it's a lot of the neighboring. Well, ours was based only on the schools here. It was only on sixth
I
graders
think
from here.
Rudy's point was that
Stu-
the schools in Miami Lakes, there are kids that are not Miami Lakes residents, but then there are some Miami Lakes residents that don't attend school in the town of Miami Lakes.
Yeah, they have
So-
private schools somewhere else. Just to host one for, I guess, residents, citizens of Miami Lakes. Yeah,
Thank you.
no problem.
Special needs, Vivian.
Hi, I'm Vivian Levy. I'm the Vice Chair of the Special Needs Advisory Board. I'll start out by saying that this Saturday, we are hosting our annual Painting with a Twist event, Valentine's theme. We have 30 participants coming, which was our cap. So we're looking forward to that. This year, we hosted our first sensory-friendly movie over the summer, the Garfield movie at Miami Lakes Theater on Main Street. If anybody knows the theater, we tried to host another one a couple of months ago, but it's so hard. The communication with the theater is so hard. Like we get no response from them. I don't know if yeah.
I go in there myself on Saturdays and I sit with him. We want to have a movie. Isle knows. They don't even want to get paid on time. It's a nightmare.
I know.
So we have a hard time, but that's the only way. Go up there. They don't return emails.
No, they
No.
don't.
So you're gonna have to go in there and say, hey,
No, that's what I had to end up
that's the
doing,
only way you do it.
but
There's no
yeah,
other way because even Isle has gone in there to pay. And they held it up for 3 hours, or they tell her she cannot pay ahead of time. It's
yeah,
kind of
it's
crazy.
it's very difficult and it's unfortunate because it's really like our only theater option.
Right. We do it for
But,
the elderly too, and it's
yeah.
crazy.
Okay, well, it's not personal then. Um, so yeah, we're planning to have another one in the summer. We also hosted a fall picnic with UM Card at Veterans Park. That was very successful. We continue to sponsor a cooking class at Gigi's Playhouse and to support other organizations like Hope for Autism on their talent show, and their fashion show, and their holiday party. What else? I also want to mention, we continue to promote our special needs safety program, which it's a program we have together with the police department, where you can register your family member. And if there's ever an emergency at your home and the police are called, they will know, if there's a special needs member in your home, and they'll be prepared, and be aware of that person. So if you have any family members in the town who have autism or dementia or Alzheimer's, where they're more at risk, it will be great to meet with Officer Amador. He does a great job of running the program. But I think that, the word of mouth is the best, advertisement for that. But if you guys, have any neighbors or know anybody who wants to find out about the program, you
And
know,
Vivian, Robin, sorry to interrupt. I think that registry is countywide, right? So if somebody is in that registry, even if they're only temporarily visiting or whatever, or if they move to another location somewhere else in the county, that registry still holds true or no? Okay.
I believe Dade County has like their own registry now. Yeah. Right. So for the future, we're looking to work with Parks and Rec to implement a sports program for special needs and a sensory-friendly feature at one of our parks. We also want to continue to do more workshops for special needs families, our annual April resource fair with Arts for Autism. Right now, we have 2 dance classes on Saturdays that we do. Level 1 is for the younger kids, level 2 is for adults. And we also have a martial arts program that we're looking to grow from once a week to twice a week, because it's been really popular at the youth center. And we've done 2 semesters of an animation program together with Miami-Dade County for adults. It's the first of its kind. They always cut off the age at 21. And this is the first one where it's for 21 and over. So we're happy to be like the first ones to do that. And that's pretty much it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And we've reached the end of our meeting, so I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. All right, all those in favor say aye. Enjoy your dinner, enjoy the rest of your night with your family.
Huh? You didn't ask against?
No, there's no against.